Nigerians, this man don expose Tinubu for the sake of peace. Make una no allow President Tinubu or any APC supporter to come across this video. This particular interview, this video you guys see on this background here. Because when this man just expose for inside this particular video about President Tinubu and wetin he dey also dey expose and the whole reaction about the happenings and the whole reaction as well for so many questions wey dey ask am for inside this video. I no go let me President Tinubu hear am, but make una share the video because this man make a lot of points for inside this particular video and na God go bless am for the truth wey pour out for inside this interview. Make una watch the video.
That what you are without expanding opportunities at the tail end, what you are doing is just expanding the space of frustration for these young people. So what problem have they really solved? Because we cannot separate this from the issue of employment. So, and that's why I say it's difficult for me to say what they have achieved. The only thing that can save Nigeria in 2027 is for this president to say, I've done my best, because they believe they have actually done their best. So if this is their best, what are they coming back to do? If this is President Bola Tinubu's best, then what is he coming back to do? Because we've seen his best, and his best has not taken us anywhere. So I think the best thing for him to do is to say, look, I've done my best for Nigeria. I've always wanted to be president. I've been president. Thank you very much, Nigeria. I honorably bow out. That's what we'll expect him to do, not to continue to seek another time to continue this thing that he's doing.
Has this government, by any stretch of imagination, crossed any line that has raised their concerns and fears about our democracy?
Oh, of course. But they are not alone. The principle of checks and balances is intended to create what is called positive tension between the various arms of government: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature, in order to prevent dictatorship. And that is why the National Assembly exists. That's why the judiciary exists. But what you find is that the three arms of government now appear to have all gathered together on President Tinubu's mandate and willing to do only what the president wants. How many times? This is the first time we'll have a government that has not implemented the budget. Budget is law. Budget is the law passed by the representatives of the people, the National Assembly. And the moment it's signed by the president, it becomes a law. But you are running three budgets at the same time, you have not implemented any. A few weeks ago, an international organization told us that there are about 8.8 trillion naira unbudgeted expenditure carried out by this government. If that is not an impeachable offense, if it is not a violation of the law, then what is? How many times has this government flagrantly disobeyed court orders? How many times have they flagrantly done things that are against the law of Nigeria and got away with it with the active collusion of the National Assembly under Senator Akpabio? So you have to ask yourself, what is democracy? What is democracy? What is democracy without checks and balances? The internal mechanism meant to sustain, preserve the sanctity of the right of the people to choose. What is democracy without the right to choose? Everything that this government has done is to undermine opposition political parties. All these court cases that you say this is going through, where are they coming from? So what I'm saying is that this government has corrupted has done everything to undermine democracy itself. And that is against the spirit of our constitution. So asking me if they've crossed the line, so many times we don't even know where the lines are anymore.
It is said that a people beget the kind of leaders they want. Do you think that Nigerians are actually holding their leaders accountable? Because if we are actively engaging our leaders, engaging the present executives, maybe some of these issues won't be a talking point any longer. But it seems like somebody described Nigeria as a politician's haven.
Well, perhaps they are right. Perhaps they are right. And I will be the one to tell you here that even people like us who are members of the political class will be the first to admit that the political class has failed Nigerians over the years, to the extent that people like us don't feel very proud to say we are politicians. Because what has made our job as opposition a lot more difficult is that when we get up to speak, to say, oh, we are going to do something differently, people laugh. They say, we've had all this before. We've seen all this before. Don't forget, in 2015, Nigerians were mobilized almost into a frenzy with the promise of change. How many years later? 12 years later or so, here we are. What has changed? Things have actually deteriorated, infinitely deteriorated. So people look at us and say, oh, these are the same people that promised change at the time. So when we tell them now that, oh, we are going to do something differently, people look at us with a heavy dose of cynicism and say nothing's going to change. I saw a video that came out of Ekiti election when one lady was celebrating that she was giving 15,000 naira to vote and she was saying ADC forever. Maybe that was the desired objective, to weaponize poverty to the extent that people will no longer be able to think and people will not be able to ask questions. But the second point is this. You see, I read somewhere, I can't remember now, that if you want to destroy an entire people, you don't need guns and machetes and all that. If you enter a village, you want to wipe out the entire village, just drop a poison in the source of their water, in the well that they drink. The whole community will die, right? It's the same thing if you want to destroy a nation, destroy public education.
Let's come back to your party. A member of your party, El-Rufai, has been incarcerated since, or if you like, has been held since February 16 and still counting for offenses that ordinarily are bailable offenses. From your perspective, let's take your reaction on the issues surrounding his continued detention and what role exactly did he play in President Tinubu's coming to power that may be reasons for his continued detention?
Well, we don't know why, we don't know what went wrong. But what is clear is that this is not about law. It's not about crime and punishment. It's politics. Malam Nasir El-Rufai is not being held today because he committed any crime. Because that would have been left for the court to decide. Let the court pronounce that he's guilty or he's not guilty. But to continue to hold him interminably speaks to something else. And that is why it is clear to us that the desire or the intention of this APC government is to continue to hold Malam Nasir El-Rufai to ensure that he does not participate in this election and it does not strengthen the opposition. That is exactly what they plan to do. I mean, but don't forget, like the family said, Malam El-Rufai fought for President Bola Tinubu when everyone didn't want him, when everyone in the Buhari cabinet didn't want him, when President Buhari himself did not want him. Was Malam Nasir El-Rufai that mobilized people. When some people in the north were saying they must contest in the election of 2015, it was 2023, it was Malam Nasir El-Rufai that mobilized the entire north behind President Bola Tinubu, along with other people. And I've seen videos where President Bola Tinubu himself was appealing to Malam El-Rufai not to leave the country because the government will need him. Then what happened? You know, some of these things beggar beliefs and make you begin to wonder whether it's true what people say, that there are marabouts who are determining these things, who say, oh, maybe this person's star would outshine your own if you allow him to come near. You know, we hear these things, right? So, but you begin to worry, because if it doesn't make sense, you resort to the metaphysical and begin to ask yourself, maybe there are some things that you don't just understand because it doesn't add up, it doesn't make sense, you know. So, but what we are saying is that today Malam El-Rufai is being held and his health is failing from all accounts that we've had. I'll repeat it here. If, God forbid, anything happens to Malam Nasir El-Rufai, President Bola Tinubu should realize, even if he didn't intend it, that he will be held personally responsible. And the consequences cannot even be imagined. is either he releases Malam El-Rufai on bail and allow him to face justice, or he continues to hold him until the end of his tenure in May 2029. We will come into government. We will investigate what happened, and due blames will be apportioned. Malam Nasir El-Rufai will be released. If he's not guilty, he will be released.
Do you think Malam El-Rufai is a threat to President Tinubu's 2027 ambition?
Oh, absolutely. If anybody can make you, then they can mar you. It starts to logic. I've just given an account of the role that he played in bringing about the Tinubu presidency. So if you know, in my place we have a proverb that if someone points to you a grave that say, oh, it's a blind man that was buried here, a stranger comes to the village and say, oh, this is the grave of a blind man. Somebody in the village must have told him. So they know these things. They know what transpired. So he knows that Malam knows him. President Bola Tinubu, known as Malam, knows him. And he knows what Malam is capable of doing because he knows what Malam did for him. And that's why he made sure that the one person he's taken out of circulation is Malam, because he knows what he's capable of doing. If someone cannot help you, then he can't hurt you. He knows Malam helped him, and he knows Malam can hurt him.
All right, let's talk about whether to call it the fake agency scandal involving the chief of staff to the president, which Prince Adeni Adeyemi alleged that he had to even part with 400 million naira, which he borrowed, and the people he borrowed the money, as a matter of fact, reported to the EFCC about the same manner, waiting for the balance of 200 million. What do you make of all of these scandals?
The first thing to say is that all of us, it's not just President Bola Tinubu, all of us as Nigerians should feel collectively embarrassed. But the impression that's been created before the world is that the Nigerian presidency today is a den of corruption. There have been whispers that people just ignore. I mean, I hear things, but I will just dismiss it. You know, some of these things are not possible. They're just people talking about people taking money to award contracts, people taking money in the presidency to arrange appointment with the president, people taking money to get appointment for people into agencies and parastatal. We never believed it because we said, no, it can't be that bad. I've been a minister, and so I compared my time and I said, no, it's not possible, you know. But with this Adeyemi allegation, people are thinking that this is just the one that got out, that this thing has been going on for such a long time, that it is just business as usual under President Bola Tinubu, and that this is just the one that got out. And that's why we say President Bola Tinubu has a duty to himself to ensure that this matter is investigated and proven beyond all doubts that his presidency is not complicit in this level of corruption that has shaken the very firmament of our nation. So when he said he's going to, I mean, he started by exonerating his chief of staff to say, no, I have confidence in my chief of staff. But what people are saying is that I'm protecting my chief of staff. That's what people are hearing. Well, you say, I have confidence in my chief of staff. What people are hearing is that I'm protecting my chief of staff. It's not good for him. So people believe that the chief of staff has colluded in something of this magnitude, a corruption of this magnitude. The chief of staff said, no, I had no hand in it. Then why are you afraid of an independent panel to investigate? If I were Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, I would go to the president and say, Mr. President, I offer to proceed on leave because it's my name that is being dragged in the mud, and no amount of money on earth is worth my name. I offer to proceed on leave to allow this investigation to be carried out so I can be exonerated beyond all doubts. and you are sitting pretty in the office while all this is swelling around you, while this stench of corruption is swelling around you. I was reading one now before we came in, published by People's Gazette, talking about another oil deal. You know, there's something oily about the whole thing. There's something oily.
Very interested.
There's something oily about the whole thing, you know. If I were President Bola Tinubu, I will allow, because there are only two things. It's either the presidency, it's either the investigation is carried out and it is found that Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila or Nigerian presidency actually colluded in creating to be part of this scam. Or it is found out that no, Mr. Adeyemi all by himself created this phantom agency and penetrated the Nigerian system to that extent. The first one shows that the presidency is a den of criminals. The second one proves that the presidency is a bastion of incompetence. We have to choose either of the two. It's either they are confessing to criminality or they are confessing to incompetence of the highest order. Because why do I say so? How can an individual create an agency all by himself and obtained a waiver to employ 300 people from the head of service, get a budget into the national budget of Nigeria, and no committees in the National Assembly flagged it, actually open an account at the Central Bank of Nigeria, all by himself? Come on. Then he went on to set up an office in the Federal Secretariat, and was actually carrying out high-profile activities and engaging with the diplomatic community and foreign countries. And no alarm anywhere. Nobody asked, who the heck is this guy? Not the office of the secretary to the federal government, not the head of service, not the CBN, not the presidency, not any of these institutions, not the National Assembly committees that should provide oversight. I think the Adeyemi case is a nemesis that is haunting this administration. But I can tell you it's not the only one. It's just the one that got out. But they cannot hide it. Because you can see in the last couple of days, yes, we are happy the Oyo victims were rescued, but they think that people now, that will distract attention from this scandal while we celebrate that. But they can't get away with it. They can't get away with it. Because we must continue to insist on the answer. We will continue to insist on the answer. Yesterday, we saw a long letter that Adeyemi wrote to the president asking for it. The president had to guarantee that his life will be saved. Because the basic principles of law, the philosophy is nemo judice in causa sua. You cannot be a judge in your own case. So asking the ICPC, the same ICPC that you have employed to detain Malam and Nasir El-Rufai, the same ICPC that does your bidding, that you pay their salaries and approve their promotion, is the same ICPC that will now come around and say, oh, Mr. President, the Chief of Staff is guilty, or the SGF is guilty, or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs colluded. No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. In any way, while you are asking the ICPC to investigate, you are already prejudicing them by saying that your Chief of Staff is a saint. So the whole thing doesn't make sense.
Thank you for watching that video. So guys, before you leave, look at the down here. Do well to subscribe and also put on notification bell so that whenever we upload any video in this great platform, you will be the first to see it. And please don't forget to drop your comment at the comment section what you think about this video, your opinion as well. See guys, this is where I'm going to end the video, and I will see you guys some other time.